Formula One can be a very difficult sport to follow, but not because of the racing aspect.
Gotcha!
Like, I'm pretty sure most of you have it on lock that fast car equals win, good job. What I'm referring to is all the terminology that gets thrown around assuming that everyone knows what it means.
That is how you do it when you've not got sticky nuts. Sticky nuts.
Therefore, my goal today is to explain all the F1 vocabulary without boring you. And don't worry, this isn't going to be some weird ass lecture, put your notebook away, bro. Instead, I'll be breaking down all these terms into a simple yet comprehensive way. You're welcome. So that way, next time you hear someone say he's doing a stint in the dirty air, you actually know what that means.
Hey, I've seen this one.
And this doesn't just apply to new F1 fans. I've been watching for 7 years and sometimes I still get confused. Point being, I'm sure that you can learn something even if you're a new F1 fan or if you've watched about 20 races and still couldn't tell me what a parc fermé is.
I'm Daniel Ricciardo and I'm about to take you around a lap of the park.
Anyhow, to keep some structure to this new type of video format, feel free to use the timestamps down below to navigate to areas that interest you more. Oh, and before I forget, I know I kinda promised to do a Japanese Grand Prix race review, but let's be honest, that race was mid, so here's a brief recap. Max went fastest in qualifying, here's how one of you summed it up.
Chicken jockey!
Then the race was just an inverse handbot ver. Norris also became a lawnmower.
It's got an expensive lawnmower.
Oh, it was a very boring race.
You get the idea. I think you'll enjoy this video more. So with that out of the way, let's get right into it. The first vocab topic is driving, and we're going to start off with oversteer and understeer. Right, I want you to think of oversteer as when the car steers too much. On the other hand, understeer is when the car steers too little. Okay, now in case this is confusing, I've constructed an example for you. At the Monaco hairpin, look here at Lance Stroll. He loses his rear tires due to oversteer. Right, then Lance's problems got worse as he experienced understeer due to his front tyres losing grip first. Full disclaimer, this is not a Lance Stroll hate video. He has crashed at these two corners. Do not sue me, Lawrence. All you need to remember here is that understeer is more or less when the car won't turn and goes off the track, and oversteer is when the car loses the rear and it spins or drifts like this. On that topic, the next thing I'll go over briefly is driving style. Some drivers prefer oversteer, whereas some drivers prefer understeer. Oh, and let's not forget the drivers that are straight up demolition experts. Right, this next term sounds a little bit confusing. It's lift and coast. What this means is that the driver is lifting off the throttle earlier than usual before the braking zone. Drivers usually do this for two reasons. The first is to cool down the brakes in the engine. The main reason though is to save fuel so that the cars make it to the end of the race. Or in other words,
I've just remembered, I've actually got loads of petrol.
Okay, now that you know this, we have two driving terms remaining, lockup and dive bomb. A lockup is the thing that you often hear commentators wetting themselves about.
Lock up! Lock up! Locks up!
All it means is that the wheels stop rotating under heavy braking, which then causes a flat spot. And in case you're wondering what's bad about a flat spot, it just causes the car to vibrate a lot and lose a lot of time. This brings us to the final driving term, which is the dive bomb. Now, I'm pretty sure if there's any term you already know, it's this one, but I'll explain it anyway. In essence, it's an overtaking method when you think to yourself, what's the worst that could happen, and brake later than the driver next to you.
I'm not even gonna say what the fuck happened.
What happened?
What the fuck?
Because of the high risk, high reward nature of this overtaking maneuver, many drivers who attempt to do it are bad, like the Torpedo, aka Danny Kvyat. However, some drivers like Daniel Ricciardo are very good at the dive bomb overtaking maneuver, and he's done it on many different occasions. Also, I take it back, there will be a test at the end. You should be taking notes. Rightio, the next Formula One vocabulary topic we're going over today is the pit stop. But before I can talk to you about this, we're also going to have to take a look at the tyre situation in Formula One. But don't worry, it won't take too long. Here we go. So I know most of you may already know this, but we'll go through it pretty quickly. Okay, so the soft tyres are mainly used for qualifying. Most cars start on the medium tyre for the race, and most people will finish the race on the hard compound tyres. Hards last the longest, softs last the least, you get the idea. There's also intermediate and wet tyres for the rain.
Why are you blue?
Don't worry, Walt, it's not that complex. Basically, the wet tyres have more tread so they can move more water.
Wow!
This leads us to the next term of tyre degradation. The idea behind this one is that the longer you use a pair of tyres, the more they degrade and then you have less grip. And some drivers deal with this better than others.
That front is dead. I wanted my tires, man. I can't look after the tires anymore. They're dead. When are you gonna call me in, man? These tires are... I don't know what you're thinking when you kept these tires on, man.
I'm only joking, please don't dox me, Team LH. Right, the only other thing I've got for tyres is cold tyres, meaning when the car comes out of the pit they have no grip at the beginning.
Traditions.
And I've also got blistering and graining. Graining will often occur with aggressive driving on a set of cold tyres. This causes bits of tyre to rip off and then re-stick to the tyre, reducing overall pace. On the other hand, we have blistering, and although it's pretty similar, it is not the same thing. This can occur when the tyre's inflation pressure is too high, or in instances when the tyres are heated up too quickly. This will produce air bubbles below the tyre surface and then will translate to slower lap times overall. Now that you know everything about tyres, I can actually talk about the pit stop now. The first term here is the pit window. All this is just the optimal time to pit, so not too early that you're wasting your tyres, but not too late so that you get caught in traffic.
Nice paradise, like traffic paradise. What is this now?
The only other relevant terminology in this topic is that of the overcut and the undercut. I won't drag this one out. An overcut means that you stay out longer to try and keep track position, whereas an undercut means that you pit before the driver ahead of you in the hope that your outlap is fast enough so you get track position. Oh, and if you don't know what a pit stop is, I think you clicked on the wrong video, buddy. I recommend watching this one or this one. Rightio, that's about all I'm going to do for this topic. Nice, okay. This brings us to the final topic of today's video, being radio. Okay, so if you're fairly new to F1, you might get confused sometimes when people on the radio say box box. All this means is please pit this lap, thank you very much. Now if you ask me, this slang originates from all the German influence in the sport of Formula 1. If you don't believe me, just look at the translation for pit stop.
Boxer stop.
Another thing you may hear on the radio is drivers being told to keep the delta positive or negative. All this means is that you're driving slower or faster than a predefined time that's considered safe to drive when there's an incident on the track. For example, if Latifi crashes and brings out the safety car, drivers will be told to keep the delta positive, so they're going slower than the predefined time.
Safety car, keep the delta positive.
This is going to be manipulated, man.
Safety car in this lap.
Okay, another one would be changing strat mode. So similar to Charles Leclerc changing his Fortnite keybinds, all this one is just drivers changing their fuel or engine settings. Another term you should probably know is target plus 1, 2, 3, whatever. This is just referring to the target lap for a pit stop, and the teams are trying to be secretive. Sometimes there's the additional fuel target, but I think you know what that means. And I guess the last term I'll cover today is that we are checking by Ferrari. This occurs when a Ferrari driver asks the pit wall the simplest question ever, and this is what they get as a response.
If we stay at this pace, what are we looking for in terms of position?
Here we are checking now.
Okay, but that's all the terminology I'm covering today. Are you ready for your vocabulary test? You better be. Right, question 1. At the 2021 Italian Grand Prix, when Max and Lewis became a sandwich, what was the type of accident called? Was it a switchback, a Max Verstappen dive bomb, an undercut, or the subway incident? The answer is the Max Verstappen dive bomb. And do not shoot the messenger. I'm not saying Max is in the right, I'm not saying Max is in the wrong. This is purely for educational purposes, guys. Okay, question 2. There is no question 2. Yeah, that's my bad, guys. Sorry, this video took a lot longer than usual to edit. So if you enjoyed this type of video, leave a comment down below. I can always do part 2 or 3. That's all I got though.
I gotta relax a little. I'm tripping major nutsack right now.
Who is the GOAT? I think if you look at his early career, right, wins the title, and so he's the most accomplished for sure.